What if I told you the most powerful company on earth doesn't make iPhones, oil, or electric cars? It doesn't sell you anything. In fact, you've probably never bought a single product from it, but it owns a piece of everything you do. From your favorite streaming service to the supermarket on your corner. It's in your pension, your mortgage, even your rent. One silent giant with $10 trillion in its hands. It's named BlackRock, and you weren't supposed to notice. BlackRock isn't a household name, but it quietly pulls the strings of the global economy, acting like a shadow government behind the scenes. It doesn't just invest, it influences elections, shapes climate policy, helps write laws, and even advises the world's central banks on what to do in a crisis, then profits from the very solutions it suggests. One company, connected to everything. Too big to ignore, yet too invisible to question. The deeper you dig, the stranger it gets. Because behind the curtain of Wall Street and Washington lies an empire with no borders, no armies, only algorithms, data, and deep connections. And it's changing the world, without your permission. To understand BlackRock's rise, we must return to the chaos of the 1980s. Wall Street was booming, but the world of finance was inefficient. Big firms were managing trillions, but they barely understood the risks. Derivatives were new. Global markets were evolving fast, and most institutions didn't have the tools to keep up. Enter Larry Fink, a bond trader at First Boston. Fink was a rising star, until he made a single mistake that cost the company $100 million. He was humiliated, cast aside, but failure taught him a lesson that would become his obsession: risk must be measurable, controllable, predictable. So, in 1988, Fink co-founded a tiny firm inside the private equity giant Blackstone. His mission? To build a new kind of investment company, one driven by software. That company was called BlackRock. At first, they just managed bonds. But Fink wasn't interested in being another asset manager. He wanted to build a machine. A system so advanced it could analyze trillions in assets, forecast global trends, and control risk with the precision of a surgeon. That system would become known as Aladdin, and it would turn BlackRock into the most powerful financial weapon on earth. Today, Aladdin isn't just software. It's the neural network of global capitalism. Aladdin, short for Asset, Liability, and Debt and Derivative Investment Network, is used by over 200 of the world's biggest institutions. It monitors over $21 trillion in assets, nearly a quarter of the entire world's GDP. If BlackRock were a country, it would be the third largest economy on Earth. Banks, insurers, pension funds, even governments plug into Aladdin. They rely on its forecasts to guide decisions. It's the digital brain that tells them what to invest in, what to avoid, and when to move. Here's the catch. Every time another institution uses Aladdin, BlackRock gains visibility and influence. One former Wall Street executive called it the most powerful surveillance system in finance. Aladdin doesn't just watch markets, it steers them. Imagine one algorithm quietly shaping the flows of global capital, anticipating market moves before they happen, and managing the very funds you depend on for retirement. But the real twist, even governments use it. During the 2008 financial crash, the US government was drowning. Lehman Brothers collapsed, banks froze, nobody knew what toxic assets were buried where. The Treasury and Federal Reserve turned to BlackRock. Larry Fink's team was hired to analyze Wall Street's wreckage. They assessed billions in mortgage-backed securities, advised the Fed on how to handle failing banks, and helped bail out entire industries. But they weren't just consultants. BlackRock also managed the assets they were evaluating, an unprecedented conflict of interest. And it happened again during COVID. In 2020, as markets crashed, the Federal Reserve hired BlackRock to manage its massive bond buying program. Within weeks, BlackRock began purchasing ETFs, including its own funds. The Wall Street Journal warned, the lines between regulator, advisor, and investor have blurred dangerously. The result, BlackRock grew even larger. In less than a year, it gained over $1 trillion in new assets. While the world suffered, BlackRock soared. Because for them, crisis isn't catastrophe, it's a business opportunity. Today, BlackRock is the largest shareholder in Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and Facebook. Often, Vanguard and State Street are the only others competing, but they, too, are intertwined. These three firms, called the Big Three, collectively control around 20% of the S&P 500. In some companies, their combined stake exceeds 30%. That's not just ownership, that's influence. BlackRock votes in shareholder meetings. It pressures CEOs. It nudges entire industries toward its version of sustainability or governance. Whether it's climate policy or corporate ethics, its voice echoes louder than any single government. Yet, when regulators ask questions, BlackRock insists, we're just passive investors. But if you're the largest shareholder in the biggest companies on Earth, is passive really the right word? Here lies the paradox. BlackRock has more power than most countries, yet zero democratic oversight. No votes, no elections, no accountability. It helps shape the rules, then profits from them. It sells its software to competitors, advises regulators, then dominates the markets they regulate. Even worse, its influence stretches beyond money. BlackRock funds defense contractors, fossil fuel giants, surveillance tech, and more. It has been accused of greenwashing, claiming to support climate action while investing billions in polluters. In 2022, a group of US senators accused BlackRock of undermining American energy. In Europe, environmental activists slammed it for stalling climate progress. And yet, it keeps growing, unchecked, unchallenged, because most people don't even know it exists. A silent empire, built on data, debt, and trust. But trust in what? A man, an algorithm, a system we can no longer see, let alone control. BlackRock is not evil. It didn't seize power through violence or deceit. It simply saw what others missed, that in the age of capital, knowledge is leverage, and data is destiny. It used technology, trust, and timing to become the keystone of the modern economy. It manages your retirement, your rent, your risks, whether you like it or not. But with great power comes nothing. No responsibility, no transparency, no consequences, and maybe that's the real danger. Not that BlackRock is plotting world domination, but that we've built a world where one company can silently dominate by default. Where algorithms dictate decisions once made by humans. Where money isn't just a tool, it's a system of control. And we, the people, are passengers in a machine we never agreed to board. If you found this story eye-opening, consider subscribing for more documentaries that uncover the hidden forces shaping our world. Because the real battles of power aren't fought with tanks or headlines, but with spreadsheets, votes, and silent hands pulling strings behind the curtain. Stay curious, stay critical, and never stop asking, who really owns the world?